Joining us now, House of Delegates member from Southwest Virginia, and Terry Kilgore. Delegate Kilgore, great to have you with us.
Hey, great to be with you, John. It looks like you're in an exciting place this morning.
Pretty is. There's actually, Qatar holds right now our major military base in the Middle East. It used to be the Saudis had it. It went to Qatar. There's some conflict going on, but the state of Qatar, a great ally to the U.S. in the Middle East for some time, and so we're trying to flush the facts out, and the ambassador will be with us at the 9:35 hour. Delegate Kilgore, I was really excited to get you on today. As everyone knows, you and I stood shoulder to shoulder in 2013 and 14 fighting against Medicaid expansion for all the right reasons, because we thought it would potentially, we didn't know where Obamacare was going. We didn't know if the federal government would fund it. It could bankrupt Virginia. It didn't make any sense. We fought it. It didn't get passed. I changed my position on it last year, and I'll tell you why. When the Republicans came out with the Obamacare replace plan, repeal and replace, I was at the White House briefing, and every single plan they had the states that expanded Medicaid, the Republican states, being funded by the federal government in perpetuity. And the states that didn't expand it, like Virginia, were going to get a block grant that was only about 85% of what we were getting now. So it's like, okay, so if you don't expand it, you get punished. If you do expand it, the money is guaranteed forever. And I was at a point where, look, if we don't expand this, that money is going to go to Jerry Brown in California. It's going to go to San Francisco. It's going someplace. We might as well get it for our citizens here. That was the first thing. And the second thing is, Medicaid expansion, this is not welfare, okay? This is for people that make too much money to qualify for the Obamacare subsidies, but don't make enough money to have insurance. So these are working class people, and they're Trump voters. That's the other thing. These are Trump voters, and they're getting kicked to the curb. And so we understand that you're breaking news today, that you're changing your position on it. Please expound.
Well, I'm changing my position. I'm still not for straight-out Medicaid expansion because I think that would cost the state some money, but I am for what Governor Bevin did in Kentucky, and no one can say that Governor Bevin is not a conservative. And he got a waiver from the Trump administration for a work program, a waiver that could not have been got. We could not get a waiver under the Obama administration. But now with the Trump administration, a work requirement makes sense. Maybe some small deductibles, just so folks would have skin in the game. But I think this is a way forward for the Commonwealth, and it's a way forward that we can, look at our costs and sort of make sure that we protect our costs.
Look, I think it is a way forward, Delegate Terry Kilgore, and also, along with the waiver, here's the other position here, right? Indiana has a plan that Governor Mike Pence at the time, put into place with his General Assembly that was negotiated, that is very effective from everybody I've talked to in Indiana. Same with Kentucky. There's some subtle differences, but the same concept. And look, my position is if it's good enough for Indiana and it's good enough for Vice President Mike Pence, it's good enough for me. And these are working people, Delegate. The thing about it, these are not, the whole argument that, it's just another government entitlement. These are the people that are working sometimes 2 and 3 jobs, making $10, $12, $15 an hour, trying to send their child to a football camp, trying to buy a baseball bat. They're struggling. Right. And so they simply can't buy the insurance. It's too expensive.
Right, and we ought to support folks who are trying, folks who are out there working the 2 or 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet, but can't afford that insurance. And if we don't help, with insurance or insurance, with the ability to get insurance, then those folks are going to the hospital when they get really sick, and then it costs the whole system a lot of money. But this is a way that we can give a hand up This is a way that we can put, get folks out there working and providing for their family and, hopefully moving on up through the system and support themselves eventually. So I think this is a way that we have that we can write legislation. As Republicans, we got to quit being the party of no, John. We've got to be able to come up with practical solutions to these problems.
I really commend Delegate Terry Kilgore, your courage. It's very difficult for conservative Republicans to see this and see the light and take a courageous stand on it. And you are 100% correct. We have to be the party of giving the helping hand to those that want to move up the socio-economic ladder. And that is what Medicaid expansion does. And the argument that it's going to bankrupt the state no longer holds the water now that it did in 2013, because we saw that with the Republicans when they tried to repeal and replace Obamacare. The other thing with this is, and I say this as the Trump state chairman for Virginia in 2016. And I
remember that at the convention, John. I remember you were the chairman, yes.
And I hope to be the chairman of the state in his reelection campaign. The people that are going to benefit, Terry, from Medicaid expansion, right, in Southwest Virginia and all over Virginia, these are Trump voters. I mean, these are people that went out and voted for the president. They're Trump voters. They're working class people simply not making enough money in order to get from point A to point B. And so if we kick them to the curb, what do we stand for, Terry?
Exactly. I agree with you, John, that we have to help folks who are in need. We've lost our coal and some of our assets in Southwest Virginia over the year. We were mining coal and making sure that we powered the economy not only of Virginia but as working those hard jobs. And a lot of regulations took a lot of those jobs out. And folks are trying to find their way back, and we're working to find their way back. And this is one way we can help those hard-working Virginians make ends meet and get some insurance coverage.
And look, I think you're 100% accurate. And it also is going to help the economy in those areas and help hospitals, because if you're not covered and you have 2 or 3 children and they're not covered by CHIP or whatever, or yourself, and you just don't make enough money, you can't pay for it. If you're sick, you're going to go to the emergency room. That's called indigent care. You're paying 10 times what it would cost if you simply had coverage and went through the proper channels. And we're not talking about 5 million people here. We're talking about 300,000-400,000 people, depending on what it is. And the other argument, Delegate Kilgore, that drives me absolutely insane is this argument that says, well, there'll be a disincentive to make more money. There'll be a disincentive to work harder. There'll be a disincentive to get a better job. Like, are you kidding me, Terry? Are you serious? Like, somebody that's working 2 jobs is not going to take a better job or move their family up the economic ladder because, well, if they get another $5 an hour, they're not going to get Medicaid expansion? I mean, you've got to be kidding me.
Absolutely. Folks are going to work hard, get better jobs, and that's what the American dream's about, and we ought to foster that dream. We ought to help that dream, and I think that's what we're doing. And a lot of these folks that are going to be coming on to Medicaid would be our younger folks. We need to show them a way. Hey, here's a helping hand here. We're going to help you through this process, and we hope that you go to college or you get that training that we for some of those jobs that we desperately need right now. Some of those skills that we need. So I think this is, as I said, this is a way forward. This is I'm glad Kentucky got the first waiver on this, and I think we can move forward with the Trump administration.
Well, look, I'm excited for your position, and look, it's always tough, Delegate Terry Kilgore, to be the first Republican in the House coming out for Medicaid expansion. We're going to get into the politics of this in just a minute. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth. Terry Kilgore, just bottom line it, even if you're not able to bring any of your colleagues along, this is it, because with your vote, that would flip the House from 51-49 opposed to 51-49 in favor of Medicaid expansion. So that's it. It's going to pass the House. All the Democrats are in favor of it, plus yourself. That's that. In the state Senate, Emmett Hanger's in favor of it. That splits the Senate at 20. Justin Fairfax, if it's part of the budget, he's a tiebreaker there, and the governor's going to sign it. So you broke the dam on it. It's over. It's going to pass. Now, is it just not an issue of Speaker Kirk Cox, whether he's in favor of it or not? It doesn't matter. It's going to pass now with your vote. Isn't it up to Speaker now to negotiate the best deal possible with the governor?
Yeah. Yes, and I think that's what we as a team are going to do. I don't think I'm going to be the only one at the end of the day that's for expansion with a work requirement. I think you're going to be surprised, John. I think there's going to be a lot of folks coming in and supporting this type of expansion in Virginia. I think that, I may be the first one out of the block, but there's going to be others that are going to follow.
Well, Delegate Kilgore, being the first one, again, I just want to say this on the air, and you're a conservative, and you're from Southwest Virginia. It is a very courageous move because you know the arrows are going to come out. I just got
you'll have to watch my back for the next few days, John.
Oh, I got your back, okay? I got your back because I love courage in politics. We have so little of it today. We have so little of it, and when somebody makes a courageous move based on reality and their principles, that gives me hope, right, in the future. So here's an example. So Mike in Chester says, on Medicaid expansion, everyone says we'll be bringing back our money to Virginia. Since the federal government borrows 40 cents on every dollar, whose money will we be bringing back, ours or the Chi-Coms? And my answer to him is, it's California's money, because it's like if we don't get it, it's going to go to Jerry Brown in California. I mean, it's not like it's not going to be spent. Go somewhere else.
It's absolutely going to be spent. And listen, Congress, we sent a Republican president, Republican Senate, Republican House. They kept Medicaid expansion in the budget. They have paid for it. They have signaled that it's going to be there, as you say, for from now on. So, they've made, our Republican leaders in Washington have made that choice. So now it's up to us to get the best deal we can get that will protect Virginia's budget. And with a work requirement, I think that this will help us make sure that we balance our budget, because we have to do that in Virginia. But we can do that, give folks a hand up instead of a handout. I think this is we can get the best of both worlds in Virginia.
And so that everybody knows also, the way the Medicaid expansion is written into law now is that after a period of time, the federal government pays 100%, then it pays 90%. So one of the arguments we had back in 2013, 14, and 15 was that, okay, even if we're paying 10%, costs are out of control. Where does that money come from? It's going to have to come from what? State troopers pay, right? Money's not there. It doesn't make any sense. But the VHHA, the Virginia Health and Hospital Association, has said that they're willing to fund the gap, whatever that gap is. They're willing, through an assessment tax, a bed tax, through their hospitals, they're willing to fund that. And, that means that they want the money just to go to fund it. They want to put it in a lockbox, if you will. And they also want to account for the other monies that wouldn't be spent right now. But they have said, and their organization has said, and it's written into the budget, they have said, we will fund the gap because we're going to save that because of the money our hospitals have going out the door with indigent care, right?
Right. And there's a lot of innovative ways that we can work through this process, and the hospitals are going to have to come to the table. And I believe that it's in their best interest. And, I represent a rural area. I've had a hospital close. It's devastating to the community. So we have to keep those small rural hospitals open, when it's 40, 50 miles to the next hospital, that's a lot. Those are life-saving facilities. So we have to keep them open. There are ways to do that, and this is going to help them keep open and also keep those higher-paying jobs in our communities, those hospital jobs, the doctors, the nurses, the nurse practitioners. Those are high-paying jobs in our area.
Absolutely. Again, just for that our audience knows, the fight against Medicaid expansion has now collapsed in Virginia. It is going to pass. I know many people are going to come out with the knives, but it is going to pass because House of Delegates member from Southwest Virginia, Terry Kilgore, Republican, has come out in favor of it. That flips the House, the Senate. They've already got 21 with Emmett Hanger. That's going to happen. The governor's going to sign it. There is no way now that the Republicans are going to be able to stop Medicaid expansion in Virginia. It is going to happen, and it's just a matter of what is negotiated, what waivers, and what it looks like. And I think that's going to be the job of, that's going to be a bipartisan effort, certainly led by the Speaker. But again, Terry Kilgore breaking the dam on Medicaid expansion. And I tell you what, Delegate, your courage is going to give about 400,000 hardworking Virginians the opportunity to get their families covered. I commend your courageous position. Thank you.
But John, just thank you for your leadership on this position. You give a lot of street cred to folks like me because you're tight with the Trump administration, and you've been there. You've been in the battles with all of us, and you know what's happening in Washington, what's happening in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we appreciate your leadership on this issue, and look forward to working with you and your friends as we move the Commonwealth forward.
All right. Terry Kilgore breaks the dam on Medicaid expansion in Virginia. It is going to happen. I'll be right back. Thank you, Delegate Kilgore, live from the Qatar Embassy. Keep it right here.